Namaste! Grand Rising, Divine Feminine. Welcome or welcome back to Frequency Phoenix 555, where your message or massage is. Come in! Come on! I've got intel. Recon is afoot. Let's dive in, darling dears, and unpack. Big Cat Wave, Alexis Holmes, first in the chat. Donnie Renee, I see you, darling dears. Slim Jim, fist bump. And a quick Tootsie Roll, darling dear. How are you? Are you fabulous, gorgeous, and lovely? Give it a good shufty, because we want to know what's their issue, darling dears. They fear your gifts. The same gifts that they laughed at and told you to get out of town. Because you dared to stand up and be different. You didn't want to live in abusive situations. Situations where people were being abused. Cheaters, liars, thieves, darling dears. People that treated you like a fourth-class citizen. Forget about the 1, 2, and the 3, darling dears. A fourth-class citizen. Now they see that you are utilizing those gifts that Father God, Mother Isis said, Radam, so be it mote. They didn't realize all of the hate, the envy, and the jealousy was going to unlock those gifts, darling dears. Well, that's their business, blood. We ain't sorry for them. They tried to imitate, they tried to copy, darling dears, and it didn't work. Okay, you have the energy of a 7. We know 7 is a highly spiritual number. Let's put that to one side. We want you to drop down and get your, it's the royal we. Just like the Queen says we, I say we too sometimes. Right. You have landed on the 4, so you didn't even see this coming, darling dears. The energy of the 4, according to the low show grid, darling dears, it speaks about your abundance, your power, and your wealth. The energy of the 4 also speaks about this stable foundation. The fact that you focused on your goals, darling dears. You don't even see the blessings that are about to be afforded you because of the efforts that you made. But they see it. Why? They're watching, darling dears. They disliked you so much, darling dears, that your name was always on their lips. It was. So they initiated other feeble-minded. But the feeble-minded ain't so feeble, darling dears. Why? They went to check out your gangster themselves, darling dears. And found you to be flawless. Matter of fact, you've now got new supporters, darling dears. People subscribing to how you got back from where you was. Where was that? In Thummerville. Otherworthian. They didn't think you would educate yourself. Tap into your spiritual gifts. Learn to control them, darling dears, and bend the matrix. They didn't think, they didn't thunk. These hood-looking alfalfas, darling dears, from yesteryear. Let's press on at a hot trot. The energy of the 4 also represents the southeastwardly direction. So this person may live in the southeast, okay? This village of idiots, darling dears, these feeble-minded ones. We have, did I say the energy of this? Did I say this was a 7 first of all? Did it spin round to the 6? Somebody give me a quick cat. Was it always a 6? I'm just quickly checking the thing before I press on with what I've got to say. Unless my eyes are playing doubles on me today. I'm a poet and didn't know it. Anyway. I can't see any comments, so I'm going to go with the 6 that I see, darling dears. I thought it was a 7. Yeah, it was. It was a 6 and a 1, wasn't it? Listen, now that I've worked it out on my own, you're good, brethren. You're still good. Anyhow, you have the energy of the 7, darling dears. As I said, it's a highly spiritual number. The 7 is about genius, darling dears. You've had some genius ideas, or it makes it look like you've done some genius boss moves, darling dears. Your birthday could be the 7th, the 16th, or the 25th. Your luckiest days over the next few days will be Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. Your luckiest numbers are 4, 5, and 7. The 7, the 16, and 25 could be your birthday or a significant date or number in your life, darling dears. The number 7 is represented by the letters G, P, and Y. The number 7 is ruled by Neptune, the planet of what? Disillusionment, darling dears. Neptune rules Pisces, the 12th house, the house of hidden enemies, right? Open enemies, darling dears, that are going through their own undoing. Why? Because they can't change your trajectory. When Father God, Mother Isis says, Radam, and drops you in it, darling dears, you've got what? Eyes on the ground and in the sky. Remember, I told you that. I've told you this many times. Can we go back to the graph before we press on? Right? Of the 64 souls, the culmination of what it took to get you here in the age of Aquarius. Okay, then. Screenshot it, darling dears. And if ever you feel alone, look at all of these people, these souls that you can call on at any time. You don't need to know their name, darling dears. You just call your family to you. Anyhow, you see, and it's moved around again. It's the dice. Is it my sticky finger? My fingers ain't sticky, but that put such a horrible image in my own mind. Anyway, let's press on, darling dears. The energy of the 7, as I was saying, in astrology, it's represented by a semi-sextile. So it speaks about what? This was a spiritual healing, darling dears. This opening for you, this new beginning, this new life. The persona that you stepped in was the what? The suit you was meant to be in the whole time, but you had to what? Overcome. How did you overcome? By realizing that you had enough, realizing that certain paradigms weren't changing, realizing that you was being triggered, darling dears, by proxy, by being around people that are allowing these things to go on in their life. So when you sat them down, they didn't believe you would sit them down. At first they laughed, darling dears, got together, told jokes. But when they saw that your gangster was real, darling dears, gathering momentum, they started to badmouth you to anyone that would listen. The same anyone's that's got internet Jews like them. The same ones that went in their own time, not even before they left their side. They're on their phone checking you out, darling dears. Now you have the supporters of the flying monkeys. Imagine that. Listen, as long as they keep it outside the perimeter, you'll be good with them. Yes, divine feminine. The energy of the 7, darling dears. The 1 speaks about evaluate everything. Evaluation of everything, because you have a major decision that you're going to have to make, okay? But divine is cautioning you not to make the major decision until after the next new moon. As we all know, the next new moon is in what? Aries, darling dears. On the 8th of April, okay? And that is the solar eclipse, darling dears. But before that, on the 25th of March, we have the full moon lunar eclipse in Libra. So it's on the axis of Aries and Libra. This is my north and south node. Aries is my north node, Libra is my south node, but that's incidental. But what I'm basically saying to you, darling dears, on the 25th of March, there's going to be a major ending, major cutting off. I've already put out that reading. Go and watch it for your sun, moon, and rising sign. See what tools you have in your what artillery, darling dears. How you can what overcome these breakages, which are going to be for definite, darling dears. Why? You have the energy of Pluto in Aquarius, making sure. And if you don't, Pluto's doubling back into Aquarius in January. I'm sorry, in November. September to November, right? Pluto rules people in higher up positions. And if you think, and this is again going a bit further, the royal family, anything that they're doing right now, the biggest cover up allegedly is going to happen between the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. Remember, I told you that. Anyhow, like I said, major endings, darling dears. And this is also the spiritual endings of certain circumstances and situations. Around the 25th of March, something is going to be shown to you, darling dears. Possibly the fact that the burned bridge, you was right to burn that bridge, to arch your back and run away like Tinky Winky. They gave you drapetomania, darling dears. The urge to run away immediately when you realized where you was, darling dears. Their energy was keeping you at those low vibing levels. You didn't realize that group mentality was for the what? It was for the pits of hell. That particular group, that horde, that community. The energy of Neptune, darling dears. is represented, as I said, by the 12th house Pisces, darling dears. Neptune is represented by the letters O and Z. So you've got O, Z, G, P, Y. Numbers to be avoided, or it could be a combination of these numbers, could be their birth date or door number, is 2, 3, 6, and 8, darling dears. Could be their telephone number. Listen. All right. So, evaluate everything, darling dears. The energy of the 6 speaks about cooperation. It's also about, because the six on the dice represents your health, doctor's appointments, and counseling, whatever it is, darling dears. But the 6 generally tells you about your well-being. Your well-being is harmonious at this moment in time. It's in balance. Why? You have the team of your ancestors behind you, darling dears. You're going to outlive every one of those mother foes. Trust and believe. You will not be confined the way they want you confined, darling dears, either to the madhouse, a prison, or the grave. The energy of the 7 speaks about somebody's coming to visit you, darling dears, or you're going to meet someone on your travels, which is going to give you the last peccadillo, the final, cherry on the top. I told you, a major decision you're going to have to make at the full moon lunar eclipse in Libra. Libra is the house of partnerships, darling dears. Your peers, your public standing, or how they was trying to make you look in the public standing, the public eyes, darling dears. They expected you to mirror the things that they said, but you is a whole different person. You're a big cat. That was their first mistake. No, I should say it's the second. The first mistake was that they don't fear God. And that is a listen. The energy of the 1-6, darling dears. It speaks about somebody's about to go into a new relationship, whether it's marriage or a business partnership, but this is going to be harmonious. Why? It's going to have true cooperation. People being what? Authentic with their words and their actions. Someone that is meeting you on the level of your mind, darling dears, as your mind is elevated. That's what it says in Romans 2:12. Elevate your mind, darling dears. The body will follow. And this is what you've been doing. It wasn't easy. Go ahead and have a look at your Saturn placements on your natal chart to find out your relationship with your carers, darling dears. Your 9th house will show the relationship you had with your mother. The 3rd house will show the relationship you had with your father. Listen, I tell you, when you come here, I teach you something. Or I give you the peccadillo. I whet your curiosity so you can become a keyboard gangster. Because knowledge applied is power. Right. What else do we need to know? This reading is definitely going to be about the 7th house. As I said, the 7th house is about contractual partnerships. It's about the lower courts. It could be about a marriage, a relationship that you was once in. It could also speak about your public enemies, darling dears, open enemies. The 7th house is also about your social Mercury. Listen, we're in the pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde in Aries, blood, and it always comes from my tongue, blood. Don't judge me, right? As I was saying before, I interrupted myself, darling dears. It's about your social contracts. So it could be online, people that you actually interact with, but it's definitely about being watched, darling dears. Somebody's going to try and come through to either negotiate for your cooperation in a situation that you've already left behind. Remember, what's in the pet cemetery must stay in the pet cemetery. You will recognize the body, but the inside, hey, that's for the devil himself. Let's get the energy of Neptune so we can remind ourselves of the energy, because the Neptune also speaks about some kind of scandal. Someone or a group, a community is trying to embroil you in a scandal, or they've been using your words as the culmination of a scandal. It's also about, because the 12th house is also about magic, darling. It can also represent chaos magic. It speaks about trying to psychically manipulate you, darling dears. make you doubt your gifts, make you believe that your gifts are wrong. Why would they be wrong if they come natural to you, darling dears? You didn't seek them out. You was born with it. Right, Neptune, sacrifice, cut, listen. We give back the wood, darling dears. This is on the energy of a 10. 10 is what? The Wheel of Fortune. The energy of the 10 speaks about the ending of a cycle, which is what renewed you, darling dears. You've come back. How can I put it? Better than before, because you have the 2020 vision. You understand and understood the assignment. Forgiveness is key in every situation. But just because you forgive a situation does not mean that that same situation can have the same level of space in your life. You won't entertain it again. You had to get up from those tables because they chose to live in those low vibing ways. And the wickedest thing, if they have progeny, look at their progeny's lives. Some are like the Stepford wife, pretending everything's fine, pardon me, while others are drug dealers, prostitutes, drug addicts, yes, prison bait, darling dears. Some are what? Manipulators of the elderly, stealing their wealth, darling. Listen, they've got a whole bushel of crimes they've committed, and they forgot that God sits high and looks low. The energy of the 10, darling dears, goes down to the 1. It speaks about your individuality. You are a natural born leader, a co-creator in the name of the Most High, darling dears. It's about your attributes. People want you, how can I put it? When you started to shine your true gifts around them, before you did the big runaway, darling dears, the tinky winky, they made it seem like you were shallow, like you was pretending, or they ignored you, darling dears. I had one, let me give you for instance. The family member I used to speak to, I was speaking to her on the phone one day, and she asked me for a reading. You know what that bitch did while I was giving her the reading? She pretended she was fucking sleeping. What a bomber pussy ras clot, you asked me for the reading. Listen, I told you I'm Jamaican. I couldn't believe it. Why would you want this? People pay me for my time. And then she pretended to be sleeping. And she thought I was going to call. I didn't call her back. I haven't called her back since. Until the time I told you last year. I took it to her house, darling. There was 7 of them against 1 of me. And I had to tell her, touch not the anointed. I had to go and look her in her eye chakras and tell her that this soul tie is done. When I'm going to give you something, darling, especially the long kiss goodbye, I will give it to you in your face. I will look you in your eye chakra and let you know this will be the last time you will see my presence. How dare you? That's after I've dressed you down and told you exactly what you done did. Disrespectful. But like I said, bestie, they fear you. They fear what you've unleashed from within you. Don't you ever, never you ever caught the attention of those people. Those what? They are NPCs, darling dears. They have no soul. If they do, it's for the devil himself, darling dears. And the devil always comes back for his due. Disrespectful. This is what I'm saying. And then when my oldest sister was passing, and the second time I went to the hospital, because I didn't go to the funeral or anything. Imagine, I've come into the room, and she was sleeping when I came in, and then they had to clean up. When we came back, she was awake. Her son sat there, who I don't see from one day to the next, from year to the year. Turned around and said to me, oh, we weren't talking about nothing like that. He turned around and said to me, oh, I've seen your channel, but I don't watch your videos. And he's shaking his head and making up his face. What a bomber pussy rascal you bring it up for? It's because you're intimidated by my greatness. Your biggest haters will be your family members, darling dears, especially when you stand up in your true authority and majesty, darling dears. When you tap into that quiet voice within, that's where God hid, darling dears. When you activate your true spiritual gifts, when you cut all of those soul ties and leave them amongst what they created. He wanted me to feel offended as I sat at my oldest sister's bedside, darling dears. I let him know that no one was checking for him, boo. Excusez-moi, s'il vous plaît. It's outrageous. And the wickedest thing, right? We've never had a conversation where we had to go toe to toe, because mouth meeting, I'm very dangerous and lethal with my words, because I told you I grew up in a family of wicked people that like to lyrics you, take the piss out of you, right? When I meet someone, there's at least 20 things that I can bring up, darling dears, and I will bring it up in the Queen's English. But I reined it in. Why? Because I came to tell my sister goodbye for the last time. Because when he said that, I knew I was not going to her funeral. I did not want none of them people to cry on my shoulder. I did not want none of those people to come and hug me or dare touch a hem of my progeny. So if you ever wonder if they miss you, if they're talking about you, course they are, blood. Course they are, blood. But they only, miss you and are wondering about you because they can't benefit from what you have created in your life. Remember, I told you that. Because they cannot benefit, whether financially, emotionally, spiritually. Let's carry on, darling dears. The energy of the 7. Let's carry on with this. The energy of the 7. It speaks about spirituality, darling dears. This is a time for you to reflect, darling dears. Divine wants you to go within. Someone, it may be from the past, is about to approach you, but it's going to have a significant change on your life, or you're going to change your life, make a major decision from that, darling dears. This is the time for you to go within so that you can make the right decision, which is best for you. Look, confirmation. And I'm not answering it. Oh my God. What the hell is this? Baby girls, baby boys, let me just go and take this call, because it's no ID. It could be one of the children's schools or colleges. Give me a moment. Oh my God! You see these people that like to phone you when at the most impromptu. They don't know that I'm skilled with a throat punch, darling dears. I don't want no flipping solar panels, especially not from you. Anyhow, let's press on, darling dears. And it's the devil trying to take me off my gangster, darling dears. You are an intellectual, right? What you overcame was not for the faint-hearted. You are deep. You are mysterious, darling dears. You was always adventurous and wisdom seeking. And the fact that you are grounded, always been practical. They now see you as a revolutionary, darling dears. And they fear your spiritual gifts. Anything going wrong in their lives, darling dears, your name is at the tip of their tongue when they don't realize that they are living amongst the instant karma. When divine chose you to be one of the light workers, darling dears, one of the chosen, people that cross you, darling dears, they get the instant karma, not because you are wishing bad luck on them or anything. You wish them nothing. You nothing them. You carry no feelings. You don't even remember who these motherfuckers are. You could pick them out of a police lineup. You could. But why would you? Because you're not involved in none of their shiznai. You've left that situation. Let's carry on, darling dears. Let's carry on. Like I said, this reading is about the 7th house. Let's get an oracle ancestral message. Disrespectful people, darling dears. That's right, Slim Jim. The devil is in the dust. Jacqueline, Arenton, Vikia, Wave. All I need to see now, the gang is all here. London G, Wagwan Maji. All I need to see is what? Kung Fu Panda, a quick hire. What did I say? It's all the blessings you carry, darling. As you may even be mothers or fathers. The dolphins are purported to be the most intelligent mammal on this planet, darling dears. It speaks about your spiritual gifts. There's many cards in this deck. Not all of them are water-based, darling dears. Not all of them are water-based. This is for a reason. The energy of the 4 again speaks about the stability and security you've achieved for yourself. The 4 is represented by the aspect of a square in astrology. So they created a lot of conflict and frustration in your life, darling dears. They created an impasse and expected you to fold. And the energy of the 4 is ruled by Uranus. That was the sudden change. More fool them, darling dears. You became that rolling stone that gathers no moss. Or no what? Soul ties. Nothing. Ooh. I can't make it up. This is Goddess Isis. Did I not just call her? Okay then. Because you give of your own free will. And we see on the 10 again, was we not just talking about the energy of the 10? From the Neptune energy, everything is lining up. 40 is the multiples of 10, darling dears. This is 4. This goes to the energy of 6. We was just discussing the 6, the balance you've created in your life. And this is about teamwork. Your ancestral team are working on your behalf. This community has had a rude awakening, darling dears, as they truly realize that they cannot benefit from anything from you in any way, shape, or form. They tried to get their echopraxic on, tried to copy you, and it didn't work. All that time they took recruiting others and sending people over to your businesses, your social medias, darling dears. They should have been begging God for redemption. Base of the deck. Yeah, naked, darling dears, and free. Again, the energy of the 10. I can't make this up. The energy of the 3 is what? Empress energy, darling dears. Divine feminine, we talking about. Yo. It speaks, the energy of the 3 speaks about intellect. The energy of the 3 speaks about family members, like siblings, as well as aunts, uncles, and cousins, darling. It's a whole gang of them, darling dears. The energy of the 3 also represents the television and the phone. So if you've got a channel, they're watching you on that TV. They put you up on the big screen trying to pick your gangster apart. But it's faultless. Why? It's part of your gift, darling dears. The energy of the 3 also is pointing back to your childhood family members, whomsoever was around you, the friendship groups that you had. None of them are your friends now. You're not around any of those people now. I'll just ring this bell before we carry on with this read. Okay. Let's get a deck. I haven't used in a while. I'm going to use the gold deck. Base of your deck. Disappointed, disillusioned, and looking like a dickhead and a dumbass, darling dears. Yes, baby. They wanted you to take that cup of opium. They would love for you to come back in. They would love to have a minute of your time to try and draw you back into the fold of wickedness, where you will be despondent and clueless, just like they, them, and They don't like the fact that you've withdrawn from the situation, darling dears. Many of them see you as a missed opportunity. I told you, they are takers. They didn't come with the what? Give and receive, giving and receiving. They came to take, and they would like to take from you again, but they cannot. In the words of Jocelyn Hernandez, posh clap. They see many of you standing alone. Come through Sensia, bad alone, posh clap. Tell us what's going on. It's about the 7th house, darling dears. You're about to sign some major contract. This could be a new job. It could be something online. Pentacles represent online. This is a hand of God. The archway speaks about what? This new portal, this new beginning, something lining up for you. Every reading that we've had over the past month or so, It's been what, pointing towards May, darling dears. We said that there's a major decision that you're going to have to make, but you have to wait until after the next new moon, which will be around the 8th of April, 8th or the 10th of April. Yeah, and it will be in Aries. Because you turned your back, darling dears. You know why? Because the world that you was in, look how small the world is in his hand, darling dears. Because it was a small world around feeble-minded people, toxic, temporary people that you was meant to let go of a long time. Many of you was pushed out of the nest. This is a new beginning for you, darling dears, realizing that you can co-create any world you want. The Pentacles is the tangible things that you are co-creating for yourself. It also speaks about overcoming a health issue. Chariot energy speaks about the success that you've created in your life moving forward. The Chariot energy also represents foreign people and foreign lands. You're making progress, darling dears, and you've got reason to celebrate. Yeah, because of your spiritual gifts. Whether it was a forced isolation or you chose to go into that isolation, darling, there's the spiritual quarantine of it all. It was for the upliftment of you because you gained knowledge which can't be bought or bartered. Yeah, look at all of the talk, darling dears. All they care about is what's in your wallet. What's in your wallet? That's all they're focused on the material things, when they're not even paying attention to the spiritual, the unseen, darling dears. Their own negative energies is boomeranging all up and on them. The devil must come for his due. Negative thinking, darling dears, codependent, it's abusive, alcohol, drugs, maybe PORN involved. Yeah, it's your spiritual strength, because you are avoiding drama at this moment in time, because you are not engaging in them at this moment in time. We've got 6 cards on the tableau. We've got 3 major arcana. This speaks about divine having a hand in your life, but it also speaks about what? Your free will. Many of you have learned how to what? Celebrate on your own, darling dears. This is about you following your own ideas, your own ideals. Learn to celebrate on your own. That's the key to everything. Self-validation, darling dears. They fear your gifts, darling dears. They don't like the fact that you managed to be happy. Something that they can't achieve unless they're talking about someone else's business. Yeah, stuck on you. You're no longer sacrificing yourself to that situation. This person or people may have some kind of criminal record. They may have a record of mental health, darling dears. Or someone around them is having a mental health issue at this moment in time. Yeah, sudden change. Somebody's going for a nervous breakdown at this moment in time. Barking at passing cars. Wishing for healing, darling dears. But then again, if you're crazy, do you know you're crazy? I don't know. I don't know. What did I say, darling dears? And they still won't shut up. They won't be sat down, darling dears. Still out there with your name on their lips. Why? Because they can't break you. They can't be you. And your gifts terrify them. Why? Because they can't understand them. And what people generally don't understand, these ignorant, low-vibing people, they fear. And then they try to destroy. But you can't break what you didn't make. This is why you had to leave, darling dears. This is why you had to cut all of those soul ties, 6 of Swords. And when you left that situation, it felt easy at first, darling dears. Until the DNS pulled up. Yes, baby. You had to go through that. The Hermit energy is about you going within. Going within. Examining your own actions, looking at where you was led blindly, where you was following the pack, darling dears, the same pack that was repeating the negative cycles. You had to leave. All of this is travel cards, darling. Oh, I pulled it up. Look. Oh, look what came out behind. Those that you left behind, they're upset. Very upset, darling dears. They don't even know really what to do. This is also a lot of controversy. They're even fighting about whom should approach you. What are they fighting about that for? Because you can't see them and you're quite happy for them to stay where they are. Out in the cold, darling, this with a full-on Easter Island and Stevie Wonder. This goes to 10 of Swords. This is all of the talking, the gossiping, the scandalization that they're bringing to your name. But they don't realize that they're giving what? Giving you more fans. Because people will go and look. It's a lot of cards that you can afford. Wrong choices, darling dears. They're making the wrong choices. They haven't stopped. They're bashing you, right? Because this is how they want you to feel spiritually, darling dears. The rain in the background speaks about the cleansing, darling dears, that you've had. You have to remember, there's two ways to when spiritual rain is going down on you, darling dears. You could either get wet, go under, right? Or you could learn to dance to the beat of the universe. Well, guess what? We are dancing fiddly-dee. You can't catch we. And they're still sending all of that talk and energy, but they're sending it from their own dark place, darling dears. This community is not just one person. Look. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Remember, I told you that. But you don't need to focus on what they're forming, darling dears. The devil is always in their details. Remember, the devil always comes for his due. What are they saying about your gifts? That you're a liar, that you're a fraud, that you're not, what you're doing is not real, darling dears. That you can't help anyone, you can't heal anyone. They're telling you that your mind is affected. They're telling people that you're crazy. You might as well have, the way they talk about you, might as well be standing in rags, darling dears, dressed like Quasimodo's bestie on a street corner and barking at the wind. But when people go and check your shiznai, they see that you come with what? Real healing, darling dears. Page of Cups, you come with love. They see that you light-hearted, darling dears. Page of Cups is somebody new to the world. In this particular context, it shows that you are giving. You're always giving back. And that is exactly what a chosen one does. Telling people that what you're doing is not real. But this is all because of the choices they made, right? Don't even waste no time thinking about them because they're being handled. The Emperor also represents the God card in Tarot. They're being handled by a higher authority because they did not fear God. So they want to talk to you and you want hockey sticks. Listen, somebody wants to make a new contract with you, darling dears, because they can't get over the ending. As I said, they're watching you online. Gemini energy is siblings or family member. What did I say? They're looking for help. They're going to appear meek and mild, darling dears, but it's coming to disturb whatever you've built for yourself. In the upright, this is an 11-11 fade. Partying, meeting like-minded people, going to conferences. One's energy is traveling spiritually, darling dears. Maybe mentally, figuratively, or physically, darling dears. They come to rob, steal, and kill. Let's get another deck and clarify this. Let's get something that we can see. Clear. We get that after tarot deck. They want to make a new contract with you, darling. Look, what's at the base of the deck? Listen, baby, boy, bestie. They're coming in at what? Full on back front neck tabber mode. This is what? Luke 22:48. They don't come to be your friend, darling dears. Remember when I show you the 5 of Swords, it's a reminder to wash your face like David. Somebody once asked me, what did I mean by wash your face like David? David's son was going to die. He begged to God. He cried. He wailed. He promised God everything. But yet, David's son still died. And the day he died, he got up off the floor, went into his boudoir, washed his face, cleaned himself up, and got dressed. The people were shocked. Your son is dead. Why are you not still crying? He goes, I did that already, but yet he still died anyway. Yeah, still causing a confusion, darling. They're not even on your level. And look, in this particular card, Page of Pentacles, they want help. Something that you have, darling dears. What's this? Dog! The devil's most diligent worker. Listen, if this ain't telling you what's going on here, I don't know what will. This is jealousy, envy, and hate, codependency, darling dears. Abusing drugs and alcohol. But listen, gossiping, darling dears. All of those reverse root chakra things that destabilize you from the inside out. They're up to it, mate. This is why you had to fall back. And it's also a reminder not to take this rose. This rose is for a new beginning. Don't take that rose. You don't need that level of friendship, darling dears. Remember, they're really just mad because they can't benefit from anything that you've built for yourself. Yeah, somebody who doesn't want the situation over, but this is the person that hurt you the most, darling dears. The one that hurt you the most wants to come in now and be helpful. Jesus. Lord, my God. They want to come and be helpful, right? This same one that's stuck in judgment. Not only that, King of Pentacles, this is a narcissist, darling dears. I can't really show the judgment card because it shows naked bodies and YouTube don't like that. This person is a narcissist. If you co-parent with this person, your children don't even know that it's the father. It says it on the birth certificate, but that's about it. This person is what? They've got no standards. This is somebody that's got low so in this case, somebody chose someone over you. They expected the situation what? To really hurt you. And for you to still be their divine feminine, waiting for them to come back and kick you in your spiritual nutsack again. Excuse me, sorry. Base of the deck, you better have your third eye on them bitches and mitches, darling dears. You don't look like what you've been through, darling dears. You are a natural born leader, spiritually gifted. I said you may even be a tarot reader, a spiritual worker, darling dears. Whatever it is you're doing out there, you're doing swell. The cat is again telling you to what? Listen to your intuition and your discernment in a situation. Why? Why now? When you have no communion with this person or people. Why now? Well, I know you're fabulous, gorgeous, and lovely. You know you're fabulous, gorgeous, and lovely. God knows you're fabulous, gorgeous, and lovely. Why didn't they see it when you was there? Why didn't they see it? Because they didn't want to see it, darling dears. It would have burdened them too much. They would rather take the one thing about you, darling dears, that wasn't in your best stead, something that happened in the past. One's energy could also see some kind of action that you took. They'd rather live on something that you made, a mistake you made. But you can't change a mistake. A mistake is there for a reason. It's a lesson. No matter what happened, you took the lesson, darling dears, but they're riding on that, hoping and praying. This goes to 2 ones because they want to commune with you again. Thank you very much, Kimberly Loves, for the super chat. Split the deck. It's about what you've achieved. And when we see 2 queens on the tableau, this is the chatting, the gossiping, darling dears. They're talking about how you look. They're talking about your money. They're talking about your progeny. They're talking about your business if you have one. They're watching you online, darling dears. And I've just noticed on this particular deck, the leaves themselves create this opening, this new archway. They're afraid even to mention where they believe your potential is about to take you, darling dears. They don't want to speak no life into your life. Okay. Okay, dickhead. Let's okay. We've done all what the cards... Let's get a direct conversation from this person or people. We'll just pull a couple of cards and then we're out of here. Forget great. Look, herd mentality, darling dears. Not doing very well. Financial debt, physical debt, darling dears. Health debts. People, when they, listen, they need to, all they've got to do is stop thinking about you. Stop talking about you. And their life can begin to what? Turn around, but they're not going to let it go. They're not going to let it go. They feel as though you got off too lightly, darling dears. Extreme envy and jealousy, darling dears, and they're living amongst financial setbacks, health setbacks. Yeah. It's because you are peaceful, darling dears. You didn't fight them to leave. You told them like it was, one's energy. And when they sit down, they realize the truth of the situation. Many of them wish that they could have broken away like you did. But they are not big cat. And they must live amongst the karma that they created. And if you take them back, darling dears, as I said, you will see the culmination of true wickedness from them towards you and whatever you've got going on between September and November of this year. Because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn rules the higher ups, the upper 1%, darling dears. But listen, I can't get off this other. I still got to talk about Kate. Something major is going to happen pertaining to her between the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse, because every time it goes down in that family, it's around eclipse season. Charles married Diana near to an eclipse, darling dears. Diana was unalived around an eclipse. But anyway, I digress. This is just me and you having a quick talk. I know you ain't gonna tell anyone, darling dears. Yeah. Listen, I told you, when God is in this situation, it also speaks about the higher knowledge, the wisdom. You are a mentor, you're a teacher, as well as an eternal student. And you have the two pillars of wisdom, Boaz and Jashin, for completion and beginning. This is only the beginning. Whatever you've tapped into, darling dears, it's only, they ain't seen nothing yet, blood. They haven't seen nothing yet. They should have sought wise counsel that would have told you to leave you alone. They would have told him to leave you alone. You're minding your own business, darling. Just the CEO of minding your own business. But they can't help it. They are entranced. They are enthralled. They are captivated. So you're captivated. You know that big cat is not going to take you back. Divine feminine don't want you back. So what are you going to do? You know that God has you on the rules and regulations, darling dears. Right? So what are you going to do? Let's see. Keep it up, darling. They're so feeble-minded. Page of Swords. They're going to continue with the lies, the gossip, the scandal. They're going to still do it. Immature. In their faces. They're jealous. Because they can't be you and they can't break you, darling dears. They're going to still continue. Oh, well. And you are still going to continue, divine feminine. No retreat. No surrender. On that note, I drops me mic. Toddle over to my Teesprings, my Patreon, and my TikToks, where I also upload videos. What happened to my music? These progenies come in and they turn off my... Listen. Just because your progenies are not toddlers and they're young adults, right, and teenagers, they still touch your shit, blood. They still touch your shit. On that note, I drops me mic. Toddle over to my Teesprings, my Patreon, or my TikToks, where I also upload videos. And as I always say, don't get smoked. And don't smoke yourself. From the ashes, baby. Namaste. Big cat wave. Until we meet again on these tarot streets. Cat. Remember, bestie, no retreat, no surrender. We kick ass and take names. We do not take prisoners, darling dears. Leave them to live out the sentences they've created in their own minds, and they are living it, darling dears. Big cat wave!